I am Jerry Hayes, and on behalf of the Benicia Historical Society, I would like to welcome you to today's Memorial Day ceremony. I would like at this point to acknowledge a number of elected officials who are present. First off, Belinda Smith is here representing Supervisor Linda Seifert is here. Welcome. I'd also like to welcome Mayor Elizabeth Patterson from the City of Benicia, Vice Mayor Tom Campbell, Council Member Mark Hughes, and Alan Schwartzman. And representing our Congressman Mike Thompson, Samantha Emmerich. We would also like to welcome officers from Germany who are here today and who are currently at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey. They are Commander Alexander Koch, representing the German Navy, Lieutenant Colonel Kai Protsky, the Air Force, Lieutenant Commander Stefan Königsmark, also from the Navy, Major Karsten Schultz from the Army, Second Lieutenant Maru Bergholz, and Colonel Hans Wollermann, representing the Army. Welcome to you. On this day, we honor the memory of those veterans who gave their lives in defense of the United States Constitution and the freedoms we enjoy every day. We show our gratitude to all those men and women who serve now or have served our country in every branch of the military. May I ask at this point that all veterans in the audience please stand. Also, I would request that all active duty members and reserve members please stand. Today's color guard will be made up of members of the 749th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion, Gold Miners, California Army National Guard. Without further ado, I would invite you all to stand as the color guard posts the colors. I would like to introduce the Diablo Regional Concert Band and their director, Cora Martins. They will lead us in the national anthem. now like to introduce the Benicia Girl Scouts Cadets Troop 20076. They will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. At this point, I would like to introduce to you retired Navy Master Chief Larry J. Miller, Vice President of the Benicia Historical Society, who will lead us in a prayer.
When our brave men and women are sent off to war to fight for our liberty and freedom, too many are cut down in the prime of their life. Today, let us remember those heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice, who are buried in cemeteries across the United States, throughout the world, and the heroes buried in unknown places. Let us remember those heroes that never returned. Let us also never give up hope that one day those heroes will come home. A good example of that is the story of United States Air Force Majors James Elmo Sizemore and Howard Andre, whose aircraft was shot down over Laos in 1969. Their crash site was located and excavated in 2012, and they were identified in 2013, and they were just buried in the Arlington National Cemetery in September of 2013 with full military honors. The flyover was done by a civilian Warrior flight team based in Maryland, and they did the flyover at their own expense. The flyover consisted of 4 tactical jet aircraft and 4 historical warbird aircraft, including one that was the identical aircraft that they were shot down in. So welcome home 2 more of our heroes. They're also the wounded, those brave men and women who return home from combat, forever changed both physically and mentally in ways that most of us could never comprehend. For them, the battle has not ended. We include all those heroes in our prayers today. Today is the day we honor all of our veterans. We honor those that are living, the ones who have made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our liberty and freedom. We also honor their families, who also have made enormous sacrifices. There are many belief systems in the world of diversity. It doesn't matter whether we are religious, whether we're spiritual or atheists. We all have our special way to pray for, honor, and give our thanks to our many heroes, both living and dead. Let each one of us offer our prayers and gratitude in our own way for everything our troops have sacrificed for each one of us and our country.
As president of the Benicia Historical Society, it is my honor to give you a brief history of this cemetery. The Benicia Army Cemetery is the oldest U.S. military post cemetery in the Pacific states. Let's pause for a moment. This cemetery was a post cemetery for the Benicia Barracks, which from 1849 to 1857 served as the headquarters for the U.S. Army's Pacific Division. For much of that period, Benicia Barracks contained the only Army hospital on the West Coast. The cemetery contains 211 interments dating from 1849 to 1958. These include 123 U.S. military personnel, 9 foreign military personnel who were German and Italian prisoners of war, 61 civilians, 18 of unknown affiliation, and 3 pets. Members of the Ordnance Department, Quartermaster Corps, Signal Corps, Corps of Engineers, Infantry, Artillery, Cavalry, and Marine Corps are buried here. The cemetery also contains the remains of women and children who were dependents of soldiers stationed at Benicia. John Foley, who was awarded a Congressional Medal of Honor, is among the unknown buried here. In the past, headstones were simple wood markers, and information about the deceased was painted on. Over time, this information was lost, and when the disinterred were reinterred here, the graves were marked as unknown. The earliest dated burial at this cemetery was First Lieutenant Charles E. Jarvis, who died June 8, 1849, at Sonoma, California. Emily G. Bramer, wife of Staff Sergeant Charles Bramer, died June 12, 1958, and was the last person buried in this cemetery. The Benicia Army Post Cemetery is listed on the National Register of Historic Places as part of the Benicia Arsenal, Benicia Barracks Historic District. The Benicia Historical Society sponsors this annual Memorial Day ceremony in order to remember and honor those who are buried here, as well as all men and women of the armed forces. We are proud to have Harry Wassman to thank for beginning the tradition of these Memorial Day ceremonies here at the Arsenal Cemetery. Harry's here in the back, and thank you, Harry. And he started that more than 30 years ago. Thank you, Harry, for establishing the tradition that we continue and for setting the standard of excellence that makes us strive to meet every year. Harry makes the past more present for all of us. Every year, our Memorial Day ceremony honors those who have given their lives in service to our country and Constitution, as well as all those who are serving or have served in the uniformed services. We would like to dedicate this 2014 Memorial Day ceremony to James Vanier. Jim retired about 10 years ago after 40 years of federal civil service with the California Army National Guard, the last 31 years in Benicia. He first served in Battery B of the 250th Missile Battalion, a guided missile site based in Castro Valley, then transferred to the 749th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion based here in Benicia. He has been a member of the American Legion Benicia Post 101 for many years. In retirement, Jim has been assisting his wife Kathy in maintaining the historic Benicia Arsenal Post Cemetery. Jim and his wife have lovingly cared for this national cemetery for many years. Thanks to Jim's hard work and dedication, this final resting place is the jewel that it is. The Benicia Historical Society is grateful for his confident devotion to his work and his unfailing good humor and cooperation in making this what we think is the best Memorial Day event in the Bay Area. We thank you very much, Jim. And now for the placing of the wreaths. As I call your names, please come forward to prepare for the presentation. The Boy Scouts, retired Navy Master Chief Larry Miller of the Benicia Historical Society. Kevin Brock, Commander, American Legion Post 101. Joe Machado, Commander, VFW Post 3928. They will be placing the wreath on the grave of a U.S. soldier. Ingeborg Juninger is Vice President of the United German American Societies of the East Bay. Colonel Hans Wollermann is here representing the German Army. They will lay the wreath on the grave of a German prisoner of war. Dorothy D'Angelo Paccio and her husband Bill Paccio will lay the wreath on the grave of the Italian prisoner of war. Heather Graves and Rusty will lay a wreath on the grave of a military service pet. During these presentations, the Diablo Regional Concert Band will perform America the Beautiful. Would you please stand while the wreaths are presented? It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Lois Request is Benicia's current poet laureate. She's written and published poetry, fiction and nonfiction, including regular newspaper columns in the Contra Costa Sun, a senior online column and caffeine chronicles for Benicia Patch. She loves to travel and spend time with friends and with her children and grandchildren. The City of Benicia's Poet Laureate, Lois Request.
Can I put this in
Yeah,
front?
that's fine. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry to say you have to hold it.
Thank you. I thought a good deal about what poems to read today. I went online and read current poems from veterans in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I've chosen 3 of those to read today. The first one is from a book by Brian Turner, written in 2005, Here Bullet. Ashbaugh. The ghosts of American soldiers wander the streets of Balad by night, unsure of their way home, exhausted, the desert wind blowing trash down the narrow alleys as a voice sounds from the minaret, a soulful call, reminding them how alone they are, how lost. And the Iraqi dead, they watch in silence from rooftops as date palms line the shore in silhouette, leaning toward Mecca when the dawn wind blows. The second one was written in 2009 by John Hawkhead. He was in Helmand province at that time. He says about his poem, "My intention was to draw parallels between military operations using the poppy, which is grown extensively for opium, and ironically is also the symbol we use for Remembrance Day." Helmand. Night on the cold plain. Invisible sands lift. Peripheral shadows stir. Space between light and dark, shrouding secrets. Old trades draped gray. Here too poppies fall, petals blown on broken ground, seeds scattered on stone. And this bright bloom, newly cropped, leaves pale remains, fresh lines cut, the old sickle wind, sharp as yesterday. And finally, Chris at Kandahar Air Base wrote A Soldier's Winter. His comment about his poem is, "Nothing about war is peaceful, nothing about dying is graceful, but maybe in those last seconds, that last breath, that last blank, peace finds you. A soldier's winter. What is this cold? Where is this white? Is this real or just a fleeting moment of life, of my life? I see no longer the greens and reds. Where have the autumn leaves gone? This must be the first signs of a new winter. I see trees, I see sky, I see clouds, all winter white. Can I reach upward to touch the falling flake? I try, but never seem to connect. And as I lay there staring at the sky, is my body cold? As I lay, I hope I am not forgotten. But here I am alone. I close my eyes and try to think of home. Is this really happening to me? This isn't real. This is only a dream. I never have felt this way before. Cold, weak, and exposed, but strangely at ease. With a tear, I draw my parting breath. I'm looking down on my body below. I understand now. This is winter. This is my winter.
Our next speaker is Colonel Paul W. Fellinger, Jr., Garrison Commander, Presidio, Monterey. Colonel Fellinger was commissioned into the infantry from Xavier University in 1990. His first duty assignment was as a platoon leader and company executive officer in the 3rd Battalion Mechanized 15th Infantry at Fort Stewart, Georgia. Following the infantry advance course, he was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he served as an assistant operations officer and company commander for 3 years. During command, he deployed the company to Haiti in support of the United States Support Group Haiti. Following command, Colonel Fellinger served as a small group instructor at the U.S. Army Infantry School, Fort Benning, Georgia, and as an assignment officer at the Human Resources Command in Alexandria, Virginia. After attending Command and General Staff College, he was again assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division, where he served as a battalion operations officer and executive officer during Operation Iraqi Freedom I. Subsequently, he served in the newly formed Asymmetric Warfare Group, Fort Meade, Maryland, where he operated as a troop commander for 2 years, deploying several times in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. In 2008, he assumed command of 1st Squadron Airborne, 91st Cavalry, Schweinfurt, Germany, and deployed the unit in 2009 to Logar Province, Afghanistan. Following squadron command, he was reassigned as a senior management trainer at the Joint Multinational Readiness Center, Hohenfels, Germany. Colonel Fellinger is a recent graduate of the United States Army War College. He is married to the former Judith Hanna of Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. They have 2 daughters. Hannah is a junior at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Rachel is starting her freshman year at St. Mary's College in California. Colonel Fellinger.
Hey, Jerry, thank you for that welcome. It is a genuine privilege for me to be here today honoring those who have given their last full measure of devotion to protect and defend what we consider to be the cornerstone of what this great nation was founded upon, and that is the right to be free. There's no place that I'd rather be than right here at this cemetery today. In my career, I've had the opportunity to visit the Arlington National Cemetery in Northern Virginia and the Normandy American National Cemetery and Monument overlooking Omaha Beach on the coast of France. I can say without question that Benicia, while considerably smaller and more remotely situated, is every bit as beautiful and reverent in how it honors our fallen. To everyone that cares for the 211 souls resting here today, I want to thank you on behalf of a grateful nation. Especially Jim and Kathy, Wally, Carrie, Jerry. It's your dedication that will ensure 100 years from now that our fallen are honored as they should be. So thank you very much. Memorial Day is much more to me than a day of barbecuing or spending time at the beach. After my first combat deployment, I returned to the United States and almost immediately attended a professional baseball game. The military was honored at that game. I remember sitting in the stands and thinking to myself, why are they honoring us? We're just doing the job they expect us to do. They should be honoring those that did not come back with us. And then it hit me. In some small way, we all, especially those that didn't come back, are the reason that they can honor the military at a baseball game. It was all about freedom. They had freedom, and while most would never firsthand know what it took to achieve that freedom, it was okay with me. Today, however, is a day set aside to reflect on those who paid the ultimate price and gave us the freedom that makes our nation as great as it is. Allow me a minute to share with you the stories of 2 such people who have given their lives in support of our nation. The first is Command Sergeant Major Donovan Watts. Donovan was born on September 10, 1960. In February 1979, he joined the United States Army as an infantryman, attended basic training in airborne school, and was assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division, where he would spend most of his military career. Donovan attended Jumpmaster School and Ranger School as a corporal. To put that into context, he attended two of the hardest schools the Army can offer, graduating as a junior soldier in each one of those courses. I met Donovan when he was a first sergeant for Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He never married, but when he was asked, he would say he was married to the 82nd Airborne Division, and the men of the company, well, they were his children. I deployed to the Republic of Haiti with First Sergeant Watts. We'd go to the chow hall every night around 17:30 for dinner. After about 2 weeks, I began to notice a gaggle of service members from all the branches of service that would gather around the entry to the dining facility. Once Donovan would get in line, they would immediately follow. They all wanted to sit at his table, listening to his stories and hoping that whatever made him such a great leader would rub off on them. Every other table in the dining facility had about half the seats empty, while Donovan's table had service members standing behind him, eating from the trays that they were holding in their hands. After our time in A Company, he was promoted to Command Sergeant Major and assigned as a senior enlisted to the United States Army's Airborne School at Fort Benning, Georgia. During a visit to Fort Benning by the Commanding General of the 82nd Airborne Division, Donovan presented him a case for reassignment back to the 82nd, so compelling that the Commanding General made him the Battalion Command Sergeant Major for the 1st Battalion 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment. He deployed to Iraq in support of Iraqi freedom. Donovan, never breaking from tradition, spent most of his deployed time out on patrol with his children. He was killed in action November 21st, 2006, at the age of 46, when his vehicle ran over an improvised explosive device as he was returning from a mission. Donovan Watts remains today the greatest infantryman I have ever known. The second soldier I reflect on often, and I wear his bracelet in memory, is Specialist Russell Madden. Russell was born on March 23, 1981. He was a high school football player of some skill. He was heavily recruited by college football teams looking for a player of his great versatility. He married his high school sweetheart, and their first son was born. Their first son was born with cystic fibrosis. Because of his patriotism, he decided that the best way to take care of his family was to join the military. I met Russell when I was the squadron commander of the 1st Squadron, 91st United States Cavalry in Schweinfurt, Germany. I noticed him because he always wore baseball caps of the Cincinnati Reds or the University of Cincinnati Bearcats. Russell actually grew up 10 minutes from where I went to college. The fact that I went to the Bearcats' crosstown rivals always gave us something to rib each other about. Because he was a little older than most soldiers of his rank, he was known for providing counsel and advice to his peers. Of note, Russell would always volunteer to take lead on all the most dangerous convoys as a way of demonstrating to others that everything would be okay. Russell was killed in action on 23 June 2010 by a rocket that struck his vehicle, leading a convoy through the most dangerous district in Afghanistan. He was 29 years old. He left behind a wife, 2 sons, a mother, a father, a brother, and a sister. Memorial Day is both a joyous and a sad day. Joyous because we continue to enjoy the freedom in our American way of life, but sad in that so many men and women gave their lives for it. They died for something they cannot enjoy, but they died in order that we might live free in America. Millions in the United States can live in peace today because so many service members now rest in peace. I'm not saddened remembering Donovan or Russell. I'm honored to have served alongside them. Memorial Day is our chance to say thank you to them and the millions of others by honoring their memory and sacrifice. Although our nation only recognizes Memorial Day one day of the year, there are families that endure Memorial Day every day of the year. I'm referring to our Gold Star families. The Gold Star hanging in the window signifies that a family has suffered a loss of a loved one in combat. Today, the U.S. military continues to recognize Gold Star families in a variety of ways. Immediate family members are authorized to wear a lapel pin that signifies their loss. So I ask you, if you see someone wearing a Gold Star lapel pin, know that regardless of the day of the year, it is Memorial Day for them, and their sacrifice is greater than any of us will ever have to endure. I'm both thankful and blessed to have the opportunity to serve our great nation. It is, however, not as much the service to our nation that drives me. It's serving with the greatest men and women our nation can produce, and knowing that they are willing to sacrifice everything to preserve what we often take for granted. Thank you. May God bless our fallen and the United States of America.
Thank you, Colonel Fellinger, very much. As we close our Memorial Day ceremony, I'd like to ask Sergeant Major Andrew J. Wynn, Sr., Garrison Command Sergeant Major at the Presidio Monterey, to read the military induction oath. After he is finished, we will move immediately to the final segments of the program without any breaks. I will point out that the Military History Preservation Society will muster in front of the Rose Garden while the Diablo Regional Concert Band plays Amazing Grace. Our buglers today for taps and reprise are Charlie Schretzman from the Diablo Regional Concert Band and Shane O'Brien here of Benicia. The colors will be retired after taps call and reprise. Please rise and remain standing until the buglers have finished taps and the colors have been retired. Please stand. Sergeant Major Andrew J. Wynn, Sr. reads the military induction oath.
I, Andrew Jerome Wynn, Sr., do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.
Forward. Huh. Left. Hey. Forward. Huh.
Please be seated. This concludes our Memorial Day ceremony, and I would like to add special thanks to several people who did not get noted in the program. Chairs and tables were set up with the help and assistance of Dr. Tom Campbell, Benicia Boy Scouts, and Benicia High School Key Club. And thanks also to Brenda Butcher and Matt Trujillo from Amports for helping with the traffic control and transportation. A video of today's ceremony will be available on the Benicia Historical Society's website. On behalf of the Benicia Historical Society, I would like to invite you to join us for light refreshments, and thank you all for taking part in this year's Memorial Day ceremony. Please take the time to appreciate our historic cemetery and thank a veteran or member of the military for their service. Thank you and have a great day.
Detail. Left hand. Huh. Forward. Huh. Firing party. Ready. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Cease firing. Forward. Huh. Freeze and huh. Order. Huh. Forward. Huh. Left. Face. Forward. Huh.